Hey, welcome back to Happy Little Note Trees. Today we're going to talk about the volume curve. It's a tool that I made up to be a little bit easier to use than using custom curves. It's available at the link in the description. So if you want to pick it up after you watch this video, there is a link in the description to take you to a place to get it. So go ahead and do that. But yeah, we have it up here right now, already in place, and that's what's on the screen is with our little ghosty friend here. We have a kind of a look already being built. So this would be the section that is the look over here. And then kind of before we get to whatever contour is doing or contrast, a little underneath it is where I like to play around with putting this. And what it does is it is drawing. So normally in your custom curves, you could come down into your custom curves and, peg a spot right around here and peg one here and kind of peg one here, kind of give a low end boost and kind of bring this one down, and then you're kind of just drawing this curve here. And what it's doing is anything that's down in the shadows, just giving a little bit of an exposure pop to the image. And so this probably isn't even the best image to be working on because we have this other look that we have in place that is kind of a little aggressive. Let's just turn off all that. So now we're just working with, let's just get this all cleaned up for you right now. And then we'll talk about what's going on. So we have our basic pipeline here. Normally we would probably put in contour at some point before our open DRT. That's what I do. And just put a little contrast curve into what's going on in our footage right there. We can turn this off for now. And it's just generally well, but like inside that cupboard, and it depends on the shot, it depends on the look, it depends on what you're trying to do, but sometimes you might want to, if we undo that, it's a very subtle move to kind of put a little pop. Like you can see if we put it in the custom curves, like, oops, I turned that off. This little pop that's going in right here, you can say right around here we want to put this up for this shot and down, and you build this little volume bump. It's kind of annoying in custom curves. I hate doing things in custom curves because all these things are wonky. They ain't smooth. So instead of using custom curves, what I did was let's get rid of that. Reset that. What we have is the GE volume curve. And what it does is if we turn the volume curve on, we can show the ramp. We got some diagnostics. What it's doing is it's the same thing as custom curves. It's the same property of what's going on, but you get to set your frequency of how many bumps and lumps and mumps. It's done by just like a normal sine or cosine wave. And so normally you would just set, if we reset this all the way to scratch, we have nothing. We can bring up, show us what's going on. It's a straight line, just like your custom curves. And then we want to bring up the volume amplitude. Right now, our wave frequency is set to 1, which means that over the course of 0 to 1, the whole diagonal of our shot, it's going up and then it's going down. So that's cool and interesting. And if we can see just by adding a little amplitude, it's affecting our image greatly from there to there. But to do the volume bump, you're going to want to bring up your wave frequency to around almost 2. Like I like it around 2, just under 2. This is where now we're doing something else. It's kind of oscillating. We've almost made it so that it's done 2 oscillations, so you get still that same balance. It's just a little bump up and down below the thing. And so in this setting right now, there is an equal amount of increase in the low and decrease, and then increase and then decrease because it's a sine curve. It's a waveform. But maybe we want to just tweak that. You start to see the image is breaking a little bit up in some spots because you got to dial it in. You got to get this just right. That's where these other settings come in. So there is that vertical line, which is our blend pivot line. So you can say, where do I want full effect of this to be to the left of the line. So right here, the entire image will be affected, but here, when I set my volume blend pivot, when I bring down my slope, you can see it's straightening everything to the right of my image. And now I just have a little bump in the low end. I've set, so going all the way to 3 pretty much knocks it down, and I can just, wherever that is, so if I put this just around mid-gray, anything below mid-gray is going to get full effect of that bump, and then it's just going to slowly taper off like a little fish swimming through the sea. We can adjust where that initial peak hits, so if we want it to be, you can right on mid-gray, you could, or you can bring it down just below, and like that, and then we can blend it back, just kind of dialing it all in to do the same thing that we could do in custom curves to give that little shadow bump and smooth and kind of cream out the shadows a little bit. And it's just giving you all the little nuance to draw that using this instead of that. But we also have other options as well. So multi-octave cosine is, you can actually put a little bit more amplitude in it, and you see it goes wibbly wobbly. So its path for one whole cycle is a little bit different than just a straight sine wave. So you get a little bit more nuance to the bumps and lumps and bumps to it. So it isn't just this pure sine wave. So multi-octave cosine and sine wave are probably my two favorite. There's like these ones, and that gets crazy. Triangle wave, they're all different sine wave forms that you can do. And they all require you to dial in your own settings. So if we just go back to being a sine wave or a multi-octave, that's fine. We'll just go back to sine wave. So we were doing good here. And it's looking good. The other options we have in dialing this in is we can go per channel on this. So we can actually only be affecting and putting a green-blue bump in the shadows and kind of dial in our look with a per channel adjustment as well. So that's why this kind of really gives you a lot of nuance, a little shaping and everything that's going on in that low end. And you can see when you bring up the ramp what that's doing as well. When you turn it on and off, you can see that ramp needs to have an on-off button. Maybe I'll put that in there someday so you can see the difference. But yeah, it's just giving it a little bit of love in that low end, and it allows you to really dial in exactly what's going on. You can see how it's shaping around in the cube if you look at the cube and pushing around that low end with that little increase, that little bump. And again, you could do this all in custom curves, but it's not. The other thing is you can switch this to high frequency mode, and that's where it gets crazy. Now you're oscillating all over the place because this is a 100 to 500 multiplier. So instead of being 1.8 times through, it's actually 180. So it's a 1 times 100 frequencies. You can push this all the way up to a frequency of 500. And so you get you still get it. And like you can see here, there isn't much change. We can turn that off and you can see you got all that oscillation that's going on, but it's really, what it's doing is adding in noise. And as you play back, it's like this really scattered, funky noise that happens. And you can increase that to see that better. So it's this weird noise that is all based on what's behind it and what's there. But yeah, that's if you want to go crazy. Some of the other ones, that's why like I have Perlin noise in there, because it's actually a different kind of organic noise that's being developed when you watch the image. But again, like, oh yeah, you should probably then do something like composite mode and overlay just to make it be actual like noise. And it completely changes the look and the image feel. And so if it's static, if the image is static, there won't be change. But if things are moving, that's where you'll see the noise actually happen a lot more versus the static. So I actually don't really know what the purpose of it is for, but I just added it in there because it's an option you can have with developing this look. So we go back to the sine wave. Yes, this is set to 5. It should be just around 1.8 is always nice. We can see what that looks like there. Our amplitude is way up high. Probably shouldn't have that there. And yeah, it's just doing and just dialing it in. But yeah, just very quick, very intuitive tweak to how it functions. Could do it in custom curves again, but I do like the ability to shape the image just slightly and give it just a really uniqueness to it when I'm doing look depth. So usually this comes in as something, if we change the node label here, wave, volume, curve, I put it before contrast adjustment and my open DRT out. So yeah, kind of just depends on what you're going for, but it's available. There's a link in the description. If you like this video, please share it around and support. Yeah, go get the DCTL. I know it's $10, but come on, it's not too bad. Until next time, in the next video, this was your tutorial for how to use the volume curve. Play around with it, have fun with it, and yeah, make some beautiful images. Until next time, this is Greg for Happy Little Note Trees, signing off.